All right. Page 64 is entitled Solving Triangles. When Scooby-Doo and the gang solve a case, what does that mean? It's done. What does that mean? What do Scooby-Doo and the gang do as they are solving the case? They find out who the monster is. They pull his mask off and they explain how everything was done. Yes? Wind blowing over empty pop bottles made the ghostly noise. Yeah? I've had lots of pop bottles. I've never had a ghostly noise made by them. And when it does blow over them, I know it is wind blowing over pop bottles. Or there is a hologram projector from 1969 projecting a perfect ghost to scare everyone. Even though in 2018, we don't have hologram projectors that are that good. But in 1969, they did. Actually, they didn't. They were just all baked on Scooby snacks, and they thought it looked real. That's what Scooby snacks were. Why do you think Shag and Scoob wanted them all the time?
Really? I just thought they were dog treats.
No. That's why they eat them, because they have the munchies. Because Shaggy and Scooby are constantly baked. You didn't know that? Like, really, Ash? How could you not know that? Anyways, solving means you explain the whole thing. Now, triangles are only made up of 3 whats? Sides and 3 angles. So to explain everything, you must tell me how many sides? 3. And how many angles? 3. Excellent. So, because there are 3 answers we need to find for both sides and angles, and there's only one triangle, does it matter the order in which I approach this? No, it does not. You have 3 tools at your disposal. 1, SOHCAHTOA. 2, Pythagoras. 3, the angles of a triangle add up to what number? 180. Those 3 tools are what you are going to use to solve this triangle. Maybe you didn't know that third one, but triangle angles add to 180 degrees. Maybe you didn't know that. That's cool. Now you do. Those are the 3 tools you have to solve this problem. You can use those tools in any order that you wish. The only thing that is the same is we start the trig question like we start every trig question. Write down stuff you know. What do you know in this triangle? You know you have an angle of 65. And what do we call that angle? It is angle A, but we also use that fun symbol theta, which means an angle that we care about. It is 65. Once we have established where we are starting, that allows us to name our sides. What are the only 2 sides that we are allowed to name? Opposite and adjacent. Why? Because the hypotenuse never changes. As Corey told us earlier, it's always across from the 90 degree. No matter where I go, ooh, I'm a ghost. Ooh, I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids. No matter where I go, that hypotenuse is always across from the 90, yes? But the other 2 change. So right now, this 41 is what? Opposite. Why?
It's opposite the angle of opposite of theta.
Because it is across or opposite from theta. Which makes the bottom what? Adjacent. And that makes this side the hypotenuse. Is everyone okay with that? Awesome. Now, write down what you know. The opposite side is 41, yes? Everyone agree? Okay. What are we left to find then? We are left to find the adjacent side, which we don't know what it is, but we're going to name it Lil C because it's across from Big C. And what else are we left to find? The hypotenuse. And what name will the hypotenuse get? Lil b. Now that's weird, isn't it? Because in grade 6, when you learned a squared, b squared, c squared, the hypotenuse was always c, correct? But we will not let that defeat us, will we? Because the math kung fu is strong with us. So we are going to solve this problem. Now, we need to find two unknowns. One of those unknowns uses O and A. Which is it? Tangent. Tan of theta equals O over A. As of now, I need no more skill, do I? What is theta? 65. Tan 65 equals O. What is O? 41 over A. What is A? Little c. The unknown is on the bottom. What math do you do? Division. 41 divided by tan 65. And that will give you a number. I do not care what that number is. Don't bother yelling it out. Because this is the important part. Everybody cool? What uses O and H? Sine. Sine theta equals O over H. Do I need any math skill? No. Theta is what? Sine 65 equals O 41 over H is lil b. The unknown is on the bottom. Therefore, what math do we do? Equals little b, which will give you your third side. Yes? Now, if this is 65 and this is 90, the whole thing has to add up to 180, yeah? So the third angle in any triangle, especially if it's got a right angle, is just 90 minus theta, which in this case is 90 minus 65, which is 25 degrees. Now, did I have to do it this way? Yes or no? No. Once I found the second side, could I have done Pythagoras?
Yes.
Yes. Could I have found 25 right away and used sine, cos, and tan differently? Could I have? Yeah. Who chooses how to approach the question? You do. And you can only use three things. SOHCAHTOA, Pythagoras, and the fact that the angles add up to 180. Everybody good? All right. Now, just to make sure now that everybody's calculator is in the right mode for the quiz they're about to write, tell me now what these two blanks are.
Yeah,
19.12. So that is lil c, 19.12. And the hypotenuse
45.23.
is 45.23. Now, before you would ever hand anything in to me, you would make sure that made sense, yes? Is the hypotenuse longer than both other sides?
Yes.
Excellent, good. This is not a very big angle, is it? So this side isn't very long, so it makes sense that the hypotenuse isn't much longer than that side. Does this answer make sense to you and me? So would you hand this in? Absolutely. What if you did something weird on your calculator and you said the hypotenuse was 40? Would you hand that in to me? No, because that's impossible. Understand? Okay. Everyone's calculator's in the right mode? Everyone knows how to do forward or backwards depending on the calculator they have? Everyone was able to get 19.12 and 45.23? Okay. If you need it, you may have your data booklet out that has SOHCAHTOA and Pythagoras on it. If you don't need it, don't bother having it out. Okay? The test, the quiz, is 12 questions. Read the question carefully. Okay? If I need a side, am I using sine, cos, or tan? If I need a side of the triangle, is it sine, cos, tan, or shift sine, cos, tan? For a side of the triangle,
That's sine cos tan.
that is sine, cos, tan. What if I need an angle? Shift sine, cos, tan. How do you know which one to use?
Look, find out what you want to find out.
Find out what you have in the triangle you are given. Okay? What if there's more than one choice? Who chooses? You do. What if the person beside you uses tan and you use cos? Will you get the same number? If both are available to you, you will. Right? Is everybody good? Okay. 12 questions. Each triangle asks you to do one thing. I believe that 1.5 minutes per triangle is more than enough time, which gives you 18 minutes. I will round that up to 20. If you finish, you go to page 65 in your book and you work on these 12 questions at the bottom. Does everybody understand? Okay. When you are done, you may bring your quiz. Actually, you just hold on to it. We'll mark it together. Okay? I will not start the time until everybody has a quiz.
Are you making tea today?
I haven't even had lunch yet, so no. I was incredibly busy at lunch. Not helping anybody. Because everybody, knows how to do this. Take one, pass them back. Not today. Saturday. Today I have to take my international student to the orthodontist. Tomorrow morning, or tomorrow after school, or tomorrow at lunch, or pay very close attention when we go over it today, because the stuff I'm going to say today is going to be the same stuff I say tomorrow. Everybody got a quiz yet? Pardon me? Yes, maybe. Does anybody need a quiz? No? Good. Go. Ladies and gentlemen, question 1 does not ask for an angle. It does not ask for a distance. It asks for a ratio. The very first day of trig, we discussed ratios. Also, on your data booklet, it says sine of something equals opposite over hypotenuse, which is a fraction, which is a ratio. More likely I did. No. I would assume so. Not being an empath. Yeah, have a good time. So you can use it for studying purposes later.
So you can get half of a mark.
Yes, you can get a half a mark. If you have either of the blue numbers, the blue fractions, you get a half mark, and then the green decimal gets you the other half mark. So give yourself a mark out of 3 up there. How did you do it? The same way you have done trig all the way along. The sine of z is opposite over hypotenuse, 40 over 50, or 4 over 5. That's the fraction. The decimal is 0.800. If you only wrote 0.8, you still get full marks, because it's the same thing. Okay?
One thing you notice is that all the triangles are similar, like they all have the same angles.
Yeah.
So I only really need to find the angles for one.
You didn't need to find any angles for this question.
But
This one, cos of x. There's x. Cos is adjacent, 27, over hypotenuse, 45. So 27 over 45, or 3/5, and then 0.600. Again, if you just have 0.6, you get the full mark. And finally, Sine of C, opposite 12 over hypotenuse 15. 12 over 15, or 4 over 5, and 0.800 again. Any questions? Good. Next one. Nearest tenth. Missing side, so you use sine, cos, tan. No shifts. The three answers are highlighted in blue. You get 1 mark for doing it, because you only had to do one thing. All the work is there for what you had to do. The same way you do every trig question. Dana. But it does say to the nearest tenth. I will give you full marks because it is a quiz. But 10 tan 49 is 11.50. And the nearest tenth is the first decimal point. I am discovering, again, that grade 10s need a lesson in how to round. There will be one forthcoming. But as of now, if you have 12, you can have your full mark. 9 and 18.3. Any questions? Lovely. Now, for these, notice I gave you all three sides. What does that mean? You can use sine, cos, or tan. It doesn't matter what you use because you will always get the same angle if you have put the right number in the right spot. So for this first one, I used sine, which was opposite 35 over hypotenuse 37. Whatever you did, if you did cos, 12 over 37, or you did tan, 35 over 12, you're going to get 71, no matter what. 1 mark. Here I use tangent. You're going to get 37. Since I'm looking for an angle, this had to be shift sine, cos, or tan, because I needed an angle. On the back page, 53, 37, 28, and 16. Give yourself appropriate marks. It is out of 12. When you have totaled it and put the number on the front, up by your name, you will bring it to me to put into check my mark. When it is in check my mark, I will bring it back to you so you have it to study from for your trig test, which will happen next week. Because we only have one more lesson of trig. Because you will notice that we have done no questions yet where the triangle has not been provided for you. That is what we are going to move into now. Because if you are indeed in a position in real life when you have to do trigonometry, you will not see a magical triangle floating in the air for you to do the work with. You will have to make your own triangles. Hokely dokely? Hokely dokely. Total it up at a 12, bring it up to me, put it right here, and then start working on the rest of page 64. Before the end of class, I will put the answers up to 64, and I will leave them on the recording so you can check them later tonight.